Hello, thanks for tuning in and welcome to the pool party. I hope you can swim because we're definitely diving into the deep end with a huge splash of truth, facts, evidence, information, and proof. Swim. Say what you mean. It's talk about talking. How we listen, how we hear, how we speak, how we hear what we're listening to when we speak. How a listener hears what we're saying, if what we're saying, what they're actually hearing and or understanding. Is it clear? Swim. Say what you mean. Well, that's just the beginning of understanding, because after we get that understanding, how do we accept it? How we respond if it's not what we expect is paramount. Are you okay with the truth? Are you man, woman, human, or spiritual enough to accept the truth? Let's find out. Welcome to the SWYM-ing Pool with your host, Travis Bridges.
And that would be yours truly, MY or Moi. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the SWYM-ing Pool. It's SWYM, say what you mean. It's the acronym. Here's hoping you had a wonderful day. It's already Wednesday. They call it Hump Day, and that could have various meanings. Some people make jokes about it. Some people make it fun. I'm just that guy who just talks about it. Last week, we had an interesting live stream. We talked about gays and lesbians. Guess what? We're going to do it again this week. We're going to also talk about 6 and 9, the perception and the reality. From one side, it's a 6, and from the other side, it's a 9. But if you can walk over to the side of the person that sees the 6, maybe you might see the 6 if you leave the 9 side. There's a whole lot more to that story, but we're not going to get into it right now. Right now, we're going to get into, what are we going to get into? The theme song. Ow! You know what? I've been having a good time. I'm going to be singing again tonight because I'm going to add something to the live stream. I'm going to add another topic. So we're going to talk about 6 and 9. We're going to talk about gays and lesbians. And we're going to also talk about when somebody loves you back. Interesting topic, right? Of course, it's an interesting topic. Anyway, by chance, if you'd like to hook up with me, I'd like to hook up with you. All you have to do is send me an email to Travis Bridges and the number 2. That's Travis Bridges 2 at AOL.com. I have a website too if you'd like to check that out. That's Travis Bridges. And you know how it is, man. Sometimes as an entrepreneur, I'm not making excuses. Yes, I am. Let me just make my excuse. I don't man it, especially for the last few months. I've been kind of sort of out of pocket and on another mission. But you can check out my website, Travis Bridges, or you can check out the mothership website, which is Mighty Horn Music. That's how this started. You know, when COVID hit, I was broadcasting live from the Hollywood home studio, and it was a Mighty Horn Music thing. And if you don't understand, hopefully you will in time enough. But as I was saying, if you'd like to chat with me, hook up with me, I'd love to hook up with you. Send me an email to Travis Bridges and the number 2 at AOL.com. We've got 3 subjects and a new one I'm going to add in. We're going to kind of rotate them around and eventually stop talking about 6 and 9 gays and lesbians, just like we stopped talking about mind, body, and soul and many other topics that I was able to get. So again, as I was saying, if you want to talk to me, if you'd like for me to talk about something, Travis Bridges 2, that's Travis Bridges, the number 2, at AOL.com. In the subject, just put call me, and in the body, put your number, and I'll get at you, okay? Christine, what's happening? Johnita Taylor, hello, how are ya? Kimberly, thank you so much for hanging out. Guess what? I've got 3 guests tonight, and I'm going to talk to all of them. But I said I have a different topic, sort of, when somebody loves you back. We're going to get into that. But before we do, I want to sing it to you. Y'all all right if I sing a little bit? I'm really not a singer. I'm a musician. I play the saxophone a little bit. But I'm just feeling it. I feel like singing tonight. And if you can stand it, just kind of work with me a little bit, okay? Come on, man. Just let me have a little fun. The word says make a joyful noise. It didn't say it had to sound good, but I'm going to sing just before I take my break and then get my other caller on. Y'all ready for this? I sure hope you are. All right. This is one of the classics from Teddy P. It's on my Horn of Plenty CD, released in 2012. You can check that out at my website, travisbridges.com. You can get it at CD Baby and Apple Music. Of course, I'm not singing. I'm just playing the sax. But this is the track from that. And I'm going to sing it for you. Y'all ready? If you're ready, say yeah. Woo! I've got to listen to my monitor here because there's a delay. All right, here we go. You ready? Here we go. It's so good loving somebody when somebody loves you back. All right, here's the first verse. Oh, God, I messed it up. Anyway, I'm not going to start it over because my niece will have a fit. Don't let everybody know you made a mistake. But I think it starts off like, to be loved. Well, maybe I will start it over. I don't care. Here we go. Why don't I do that again? I don't care. It's my party. I can cry if I want to. Here we go. All right, let me turn up my monitor so I can. It's so good loving somebody when somebody loved you back. To be loved and be loved in return. See, I'm messing up. I know this song. It's like by the way, this is my favorite all-time favorite song. And I'm just a little shy right now, and I'm just trying to stall a little bit too. So I'll leave it right there, and I'll stop singing and just talk about my subjects tonight. What I'm going to do is just take a break and get my call on the line, and I'll be back. We're talking about 6 and 9, the perception. We're talking about gays and lesbians, and we're talking about when somebody loves you back. Do me a favor, hold the spot you got. I'll be right back.
The Swimming Pool with Travis Bridges is a talk segment about talking. Talk about talking? Yes, talk about talking. It's designed to bring awareness to how we listen, how we hear, and what we do with the information we receive during communication. The mind is automatically programmed to protect the body and soul. It displays that through each and every encounter we experience. If any part of the body is threatened, the mind will automatically issue the flight command. The flight command to retreat to safety. Well, that same command is also deployed when our ego is threatened. The ego, yes, the ego. It's so natural and common, it happens oftentimes without us even knowing. Engaging in conversation and staying focused on what is present is considered mental fitness. It strengthens our emotions and helps us to gain control of our circumstances instead of having our circumstances overtake our thinking and our very existence. It's a difficult task to achieve because our feelings, beliefs, and desires are so strong that it causes us to totally disregard even the most common or basic reasoning. This live stream is only here to bring awareness to that subconscious process. Nothing or no one is actually wrong. However, the idea of being open to anything outside of what we've already concluded is golden, especially if the new information is transparent. The SWYM developers would like to say thanks for supporting, watching, listening, and sharing this information. Now, back to the swimming pool. Let's dive in and swim. Mighty horn music. Mighty horn music.
As time draws near and you plan your social events, call Mighty Horn Music for a party you and your friends will never forget. From banquets, receptions, family reunions, and church functions to birthday, executive, or private parties, Mighty Horn delivers. Event packages include live musicians, psalmists, comedians, clowns, and a karaoke show that's guaranteed to make you laugh. Mighty Horn Music specializes in providing a variety of music to keep your guests going for hours. Mighty Horn Music. Let us create a custom sound for your special event. From start to finish, Mighty Horn Music will plan your theme, decorate, cater, and entertain your guests with class and style. This year, make your events live with Mighty Horn Music. Call 786-487-7338, 786-487-7338, or log on to mightyhornmusic.com and let's party.
Yeah. Log on to mightyhornmusic.com and let's party. You know, I spent that whole time while that whole commercial was on trying to get my my guest on the line. And don't ask me what happened. I'm not even going to try to figure it out. Yeah, I got a little attitude right now because my stuff ain't working right and my caller wasn't ready. But I think my caller is ready now. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm fine. How are you doing, sir?
I'm wonderful. Can you hear me okay?
I sure can.
I can hear you just as well. How was your day today?
It was fine.
Yeah? What was the highlight of your day? What did you do, if you're allowed to tell?
The highlight of my day was... Oh my God, what was the highlight? I went to the eye doctor today. Yippee. That was the highlight. And I dilated my eyes and there's nothing wrong with my eyes. So that was the highlight of the day. I had never did that before.
Let's hope you didn't drive right after that.
I did, but it was okay.
Okay.
She said that I could.
Okay, well, let's get right into it. I promised I wouldn't keep you long, and I'm not going to do that. So, did you listen to my live stream last week, or do you know what the subject was? Did we talk since then?
I did listen to your stream last week. You had two questions we hadn't talked about, your live stream. One of them was about gay, lesbian, LGBTQ community, and then the other one was about something about, it was two words, and now I can't remember them,
but they were kind of perception.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about both of those. I have two other guests lined up, and I want to say thank you for being with me. You always have been here to support me so far, and I appreciate it. So I'm not going to hold you long, but you want to do the gays and lesbians first, or the 69 perception? Which one you want to do first? Or, we're going to talk about when somebody loves you back too. Why don't we tell you what, I'm going to control my show tonight. Or my live stream. I don't like calling it a show.
Sure, go ahead.
We're going to get into 69 perception, and we're going to talk about, gays and lesbian. But let's talk about, the when somebody loves you back. Can we talk about that? Let's do that.
Sure.
Okay. So I had this dream, and I wrote about it in my book that's coming up. And after my dream, I woke up, I was singing one of my favorite all-time songs from the late, great Teddy Pendergrass, When Somebody Loves You Back. It's one of my, it is my all-time favorite song, vocal song from a male artist anyway. Has been since I was, probably a teenager, and I still like it to this day. But what I want to talk about, and I want you to chime in on it, is when we talk about love and we talk about what our creator is. Anyone used to ask anybody, well, who is our creator? Especially Christians, they'll say our creator is love. And I happen to agree with that. And we are loved too in our own way. And love is one thing. You can give it away and you can receive it. And before I get into, what I want to talk about, just tell me your perception. What is love to you?
Love is, it's a lot of things. I think it's action. I think it's displays of affection. I think it is, how they have a thing about people have different love languages. Mm-hmm. And I think that's true. Some people do it in different ways, but I think we all want love and want to show love in some kind of way to others, um, to other people. It could be romantic love, it can be friendship love, um, varying degrees of love. So I think it's pretty amazing. I think it's important. I think what drives us, if everybody would treat people as they say they do when they say they love them, it wouldn't be so many problems, right? Because we use that term sometimes. We use that term very loosely, saying, "Oh, I love you," but why would you do certain things if you love somebody, right? Or you would just, I'm all about grace and just treating people right and just loving people where they are. That's a big thing for me, because I find that some people do change, but some people are who they are, and just love them as they are. Just like we love our children as they are, we love our family as they are, we love our friends as they are, and then accepting the good, the bad, and the ugly that comes along with that. That's what love is. It's just loving people, loving fellow humans for whatever reason it might be and whoever they might be, but just being compassionate and caring.
Okay, I appreciate you chiming in on that. That's just like the warm up. I've got 2 topics that are on deck. I'm going to let those fizzle out, and then I'm going to warm up and get the love topic on fire. But what I want to bring awareness to is what my favorite song says. It talks about loving somebody, but when somebody loves you back, doesn't that make it a little better? I mean, because you just talked about accepting someone. You didn't use that word, but you did use it, but you were focusing on loving them and loving the good, the bad, and ugly within them. And it's one thing to love somebody, but isn't it another thing to have somebody love you back? Come on, man.
Absolutely. Excuse me. Sorry. Absolutely. That's when it's powerful. Mm-hmm. When there's 2 people, or just, it doesn't have to be 2 people. I mean, it's beautiful when when you're surrounded by love and you're in a loving relationship with the people around you. It is a very beautiful thing, and it makes you very happy, and it can be very, it can just be very peaceful and settling for your spirit.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So with that being said, that's what I'm going to warm up to in the next couple of weeks or so. I'm going to be getting into love, and mainly when somebody loves you back. So we're going to let that pass and get into the 6 and 9 perception. Do you remember you remember my example of the 69 perception from last night, or no, or last week?
No, I don't remember all of it. I know it was about...
Well, let me just tell you.
No.
I was talking with one of my close friends who's like a brother to me, and we were talking about seeing things different and seeing how things, can be the same. We were talking about a particular subject, but we ended up on this example, and he said to me, imagine there's an imaginary line between us. He stood right in front of me, and he said, okay, from on this side, I see a 9, but on your side, it's a 6. And I said, yeah, but it's one or the other. The way you look at it is another thing, but that is design when it was created. It's either the number before 7 or the number that's after 5, or it's the number that's before 7 and before 7 and or after, before 10 and after 8. Okay, I'm getting it twisted. So it's one or the other. It doesn't, how you look at it is one thing, but it is a number. So he was like, oh, no, you got to be able to see it different ways. So he gave me his example, and I didn't, go back and forth with him. But then I gave him my example, and this was my example, and this is what I want you to chime in on before we get into the other topic. So I saw his point in how if you look at it from one side and it's a 6, and then you look at the other side, it's a 9. And I said to him, okay, so if I borrowed $9,000 from you, and then on payday I paid you $6,000. Would it be the same in that way? Would it be the same perception? And of course, he said that was different. So tell me your perception as if you're looking at it and trying to say it's the same thing and it's a different perception from a visual perspective or from a actual or reality perspective, how it differs. Just chime in on that, and then we'll move on to the other topic.
Well, I think that it's different. A 6 and a 9 are different. Period. They are not the same, regardless of how you look at it. There may be some situations that happen. I'm trying to think of one where somebody may see something, but not really see something different from a perception. And I think a lot of that has to do, you might have that in terms of communicating with somebody, right? They may, or, like text messages. Somebody might send a text message to someone and say one thing and the other person reads a whole nother thing, right? So it definitely happens, but for actual physical thing, if I loaned Joe Bud $9,000, I want $9,000 back. I don't want no $6,000 back. I want whatever I gave you back. When it's hardcore reality, it's different. A 6 and a 9 are not the same. And I have this when I'm playing cards, like when I'm playing Uno or Phase 10 with my nephews. And, sometimes you turn around, they're like, oh, no, that's a 6, that's a 9. So, no, let's make sure what it is because it's important to the game. Because it has to be what it has to be, 6 or a 9. So
really, before you keep going, just say, how do you get to the bottom of what it was? Now, I left out this part this week, but I talked about it last week. I shared this with my son, and he said, okay, Dad, you got a good point, and he said something in regards to, okay, when you have two people that are having that conversation, you have to want to decide, both people have to want to agree, because one person is going to say, no, it's a 6, and the other person is going to say it's 9. But you have to have that meeting of the hearts and minds that say, okay, let's decide what the intention was. Are we talking about the interval? Are we talking about the number, rather? Let me just stop being fancy. We talk about the number that's after 5 and before 7, or are we talking about the one that's before 10 or after 8? You have to have that conversation, and you have to be able to be open to it. So whatever side you stand on when there is a misunderstanding, once you have the meeting of the hearts and minds and you reach that point where you decide, okay, no, we're talking about the one that's after 5 and before 7, then there's no more question that it's a 6. It's not a 9. I don't care which way you look at it. It's either one or the other. So,
okay. And now, so is that a conversation? Is that something to talk about?
Well, yeah, it's something to talk about. If someone is, it's the bigger picture is when there is a misunderstanding or a disagreement. Reaching the bottom. Okay. Remember, this entire live stream is about settling disputes, having conversations to where you can have a meeting of the hearts and minds and getting to the bottom of any kind of disagreement. I'm convinced that you can settle everything if you're willing, to be open, particularly to the truth. So if you have a 6 on the floor and you're on one side or the other, whoever put that down there said, okay, I'm putting one thing down here. It's going to be a 6 or a 9. So whichever side you end up on looking at it, you have to be willing to have the conversation to get down. Well, what was meant, in this conversation in terms of, what it really is or what we're actually seeing. And then you have to have the conversation to get to the bottom of it. So I guess I'll just leave it right there unless you have something else to say, because I don't want to give away the punchline, which I'm going to do in another week or so.
Okay, I agree. I mean, I think that, you do have to get to the bottom of things. But my question is always, how do you do, what if the two parties are not willing to get to the bottom of it?
Well, then that's why you have a problem. That's why I'm bringing awareness to, hoping that people will hear what I have to say, or just, come into their own being and say, okay, well, we need to solve these problems. We need to get to the bottom of these things so that we can live and at least be in peace. Because when there's a misunderstanding or a disagreement, people aren't sleeping. They can say they are, but they're not really resting when they have an ought, so to speak, or a disagreement with their brother or their sister or their family members or their coworkers or whatnot. You've got to realize, okay, I'm not feeling good about this, and I'm going to knock on their door or ring their bell or call their phone or text and say, hey, let's talk about this. And you have to be willing to and open, to get to the bottom of it. So there you go. All right, we're done with that one. You ready to go to the next one?
Sure.
Okay, we're going to talk about gays and lesbians, and I only have about maybe 4 minutes with you. If you listened to it last week, just give me your take on gays and lesbians. What is your thought about it? Is it real? Is it natural? Is it normal? Is it good or bad? Is it ugly? What are your thoughts?
I think it's absolutely normal. I think it's absolutely natural. I think it's absolutely real. It's what people are. And I don't even know, it's kind of weird to me in this day and age why we even have these conversations about it. I understand why we do, but I don't see a gay person anything different than a heterosexual person. That's their business.
Okay. I appreciate that. We could go much longer on that because, of course, there's different degrees of everything. Why do you think it's a problem, though? Why? Well, I didn't mean to use the word problem.
What do you mean a problem?
Well, that's why I said I didn't mean that a word. Why do you think there's so much controversy around it? Because, okay, let me just ask you this question first. Do you think there are more heterosexual people than there are people that are gays or lesbians?
Yes.
Okay, so if I don't like using the word normal, but for lack of a better word, I'll just say if normal is considered heterosexual and then gays and lesbians is something else, why is there a controversy if it's also normal? So I'm just going to try to make it clear. I'm not taking one side or the other. I'm just talking about it. If there are more heterosexuals in society than there are people who identify as either gays or lesbians or different. Why is it a big issue? Why don't people that are heterosexual just say okay that they're just a different breed or a different not breed? Wow, I've got to be careful. They're just they're just who they are. Period. Why is it such a controversy?
I don't know because I think it's just because people get nervous about things that they don't see normally, maybe, or they're just trying to occupy themselves with something they don't need to be occupying themselves about. But because it's not as prevalent, let's say, as a heterosexual, that for that reason, and because they think it's against the norm. That I think is the reason why it's looked at differently.
The norm, or
but you know what?
Norm?
Their norm.
Okay.
Because I'm sure, just in any other species, there may be a albino that comes around. That doesn't happen all the time, right? Doesn't make it. It's just different. It's not bad or good or nothing. It's just the gene happened, and it just happened. Mm-hmm. And that's just what happens. It's just not perfect. It's just things people are brought into this world, and they are brought in who they are. And I think people just focus on it because it's not the majority. That's all.
Awesome. Well, listen, I'm going to let you go. I thank you for your time. I appreciate it. I do have another caller that is waiting for me. Unless you have something to say on either of those topics, 6 and 9, the perception, gays and lesbians, and when somebody loves you back. If you want to comment on either one of those before
loves
we go,
you back.
You can do that. Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and let you go.
Well, you can go ahead and let me go. So I'm good.
All right. I love you. Have a good night. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
No problem.
Okay.
Have a good night.
Hey, y'all, stay there. I'll be right back, okay? Thank you.
Mighty Horn Music. Smooth jazz, top 40, R&B, inspirationals, and more. Live from the Hollywood Home Studio. Like, share, subscribe. And thanks for tuning in. Music is the universal tool that soothes the savage beast in everyone for every occasion. It's multi-purposed. Same prescription when you're sad, happy, or even in love. Music will either enhance what's already good or make better what's not as good. So, when you find your source of music, it's like anything else you maintain. If you respect it and treat it well, it will be there when you need it. Well, Mighty Horn Music is that type of place, and Travis Bridges is that type of guy. So, let's treat him right. Your love gifts are greatly appreciated. If you like what you hear, see, or feel during this live stream and you want to show off a little, simply follow the donation platforms on the bottom of your screen. Just remember, sharing is caring. It's better to give than to receive. And if you keep more than you need, now that's just plain old greedy. Thanks for tuning in. Now, back to more Mighty Horn Music.
Now, back to more Mighty Horn Music. How about back to more Mighty Horn talk? I think that sounds a little better than music, because if you were here back in May of 2020, it would be definitely music, and I would have my saxophone in my hand right now, and I would be bouncing right about like this, and I would be playing some music. But now it's Mighty Horn talk. We just haven't changed the promo. Don't worry about it. I'll get around to it when I get around to it. Tonight, we are talking about 6 and 9, the perception. We're also talking about gays and lesbians, and we're adding new to the menu. Love somebody when somebody loves you back, or loving somebody when somebody loves you back. I do have another caller standing by, and we're going to get right into it. Hello.
Hello.
How you doing? It's been a minute. How you been?
It has been a minute. I'm good. I'm just trying to be healthy.
All right. I appreciate it. So you've been tuning in, so you say. I'm going to find out for sure right now. You know, the last week we started off the gays and lesbian. It was interesting. It was cool. I got a lot of information, and we're going to have another week or so on that subject as we also talk about the 6 and 9 perception. And we're also going to chime in on something new that I've got cooking entitled Loving Somebody When Somebody Loved You Back. It's just love within itself. Anything you want to say about either of those subjects before I start drilling you with my questions?
No, go ahead and start drilling.
Okay. The 6 and 9 perception. You understand that people will look at a 6 and say it's a 9, or people will look at a 9 and say it's a 6, depending on which side of the number they're on. But in reality, it is one or the other. That is the number that's after 5 and before 7, or it is the number that's after 8 or before 10. So when you have your dispute about what it is and you try to settle it or get to the bottom of it in some kind of way, you have to be willing to have the talk of what is it? Is it a 6 or is it a 9? So how do you think you can solve the problem of two people who are looking at a 6 or a 9 and saying it's one or the other? Come on. It's going to be tough, but I know you can do it.
It's really not tough. And if people were more open and willing to just move over to that other person's side, they'd see whatever that other person sees. And they would understand what that other person sees. And I think that's a lot of what people miss in communication, is they only understand what they have learned in their lifetime, and they don't take into consideration what other people may have been through or what their life experience has brought them to. And that's why they see what they see, and that's why they understand what they understand. But if we take the time to walk over to their side and we see their 6 or their 9, we may have a better understanding of what their perception is. Awesome. And the communication may open.
So I'm hearing you say that in order to have that conversation. Hey, before I go, let me just say hey to my buddy Jeremiah, Janita, Christine, Robin is in the house. I appreciate everybody just hanging out with me. I appreciate it. I had quite a few people in here. It doesn't drop down to half. I must be losing interest, but that's all right. I'm going to keep going. So what I'm hearing you say, I think, is that, in order to have that conversation, you have to be willing to walk over to the other side and see what it is they're seeing and why they're seeing it that way, and then have the discussion from that perspective. That's pretty cool. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely.
Okay. So when you go over to that other side and you realize that, oh, wow, it is a 6 over here, but over there it's a 9. How do you get to the middle? What do you do? How do you determine? How do you find that place?
I don't believe there's always a black and white answer. I know you always talk about universal principles, and there is a black and white answer. But if you're standing on one side of a 6, it's a 6. If you stand on the other side, it's a 9. The 6 and 9 don't change. They are stable, and they are what they are. It's the way that you look at it that is changing.
Okay. All right. I'm going to leave it right there. Thank you for your input. We're going to move right along to gays and lesbians. Your thoughts, please.
I agree exactly with the previous caller that I think that people are born with, they are what they are, and they're born that way, and that, that we should accept what they are and not treat them differently because of a sexual preference. It's just
Hold on. I don't mean to cut you off, but you just said a preference, okay? I'm not sure that it is a preference as much as it is just a being, because I'm not sure that people actually choose that and say, okay, it's my preference.
No, I don't believe. Yeah, no, I don't believe that they choose it either.
So then you don't mean to say preference.
Just the word that's associated with that, making that delineation on whether you're heterosexual, gay, lesbian, whatever you are, your sexual preference. I don't know what other word to use other than what whatever.
Well, no, you can use that word. I just want to make sure it's what you're saying, and I'm just going to back away from because I heard it and I'm listening to it. I'm walking around to the 6 now. I'm trying to listen to it from what you said. I just don't think it's not my preference to be heterosexual. That's just what I am, and I'm okay being heterosexual.
Exactly. That's the way that I believe that people are born with it. I think that religion primarily has pushed into us that things are right or things are wrong, and that people believe or don't believe that it's. People believe that it's a sin, or they believe that it's not acceptable to God, and that's what makes it so difficult and heavy and hard for people to have any understanding of the way that people want to live their lives.
Okay. As much as I'd love to keep going, I said I was going to be mindful of time tonight. We're going to move on to the new subject that's kind of on the table right now, and it's loving somebody when somebody loves you back. And let me just tell you, we talk about love all the time, and we say, I love this person, or I love, this type of food, and I love this, that, or the other. And I'm going to get into it a little heavy, with more of my perception of it. And that's okay to talk about what we love. Of course, a bowl of potato salad can't love me back, the way I would love potato salad.
Sure it can. It can have an inch or two to your belly.
Oh, well, maybe. Another subject. But as it relates to, our counterparts, our brothers and sisters, our friends, our significant others. You know, it's okay to love somebody, but man, what do you think of the idea? Imagine this. Imagine all the love that you can muster up for someone that you care about in a, eros perspective, someone that you may like, you may have a crush on, or you may be in a relationship with. Imagine, all the love you can have for this individual, and then they love you back the same way. Doesn't that change the meaning of, hey, I love you, or no? Or am I alone on this? Don't leave me by myself.
No, of course. Having a one-way love is not as wonderful as having, someone that loves you back. That's a beautiful thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, that's what I just wanted to bring attention to. Anita says, sounds like she's relating to sexual orientation instead of preference. That's what I was kind of alluding to when I asked you about preference.
Yep, that's exactly right. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, we can get into that.
Thank you, Anita. That's exactly right.
Yeah. We'll get into that. Anita, maybe you need to come on and talk about it. I would appreciate that. Back to that loving somebody when somebody loves you back. I think we need to take that into consideration when we're, when we know someone cares about us or likes us in a certain way. You can't just match that. But if you know somebody likes you or cares about you or feels a certain way about you, and it could be, in a brotherly way, or it could be in a, friendly way, or in an erotic way, or it could be, of course, like the ultimate, the agape way. When you understand how a person may feel about you, and you try to return that back, you are really, adding your extra mustard and ketchup to what love is all about. So that's all I want to bring attention to. I have a few other points that I'll bring, that I'll talk about, in the next couple of weeks. But I just like the idea of talking about loving somebody when somebody loves you back. So thank you for participating. I appreciate you. I love you. And I can't thank you enough for the support. So thanks again, okay?
You're very welcome.
Any closing words at all before we dip?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, I do have another caller standing by. I'm going to take a short break. I'll be right back in less than 2 minutes. Hold the spot you got. I'll be right back. Thanks for being there for me. I appreciate it. Okay. Have a good night.
All right. Bye-bye.
The Swimming Pool with Travis Bridges is a talk segment about talking. Talk about talking? Yes. Talk about talking. It's designed to bring awareness to how we listen, how we hear, and what we do with the information we receive during communication. The mind is automatically programmed to protect the body and soul. It displays that through each and every encounter we experience. If any part of the body is threatened, the mind will automatically issue the flight command. The flight command to retreat to safety. Well, that same command is also deployed when our ego is threatened. The ego, yes, the ego. It's so natural and common, it happens oftentimes without us even knowing. Engaging in conversation and staying focused on what is present is considered mental fitness. It strengthens our emotions and helps us to gain control of our circumstances instead of having our circumstances overtake our thinking and our very existence. It's a difficult task to achieve because our feelings, beliefs, and desires are so strong that it causes us to totally disregard even the most common or basic reasoning. This live stream is only here to bring awareness to that subconscious process. Nothing or no one is actually wrong. However, the idea of being open to anything outside of what we've already concluded is golden, especially if the new information is transparent. The SWYM developers would like to say thanks for supporting, watching, listening, and sharing this information. Now, back to the swimming pool. Let's dive in and swim.
Yeah, let's dive in and swim. Hey, here's hoping you're having a fantastic and wonderful Wednesday evening. I'm Travis Bridges. And again, welcome to the swimming pool. This is a live stream about talking. We talk about talking, and the reason we talk about talking is because we need to do that sometimes. Oftentimes, we don't have the conversations we need to have, and everybody wants a little peace, right? Name one person that you know other than the devil that just wants hell and chaos all the time. I don't know of anyone. If you ask a sane person, one thing that they would ask for is like, hey, I think I want some peace. And we don't have it because we don't take the time to work on it or earn it. And I am convinced that everything can be solved if we are willing to see the 6 as the 9 and see the 9 as the 6 and see how someone that sees the 6 as a 9 sees it the way they see it, and then come to the agreement that, okay, it's the number before 7 and the number that's after 5. Anyway, thank you so much. I have my caller standing by. Hey, caller, are you with me?
I am with you. How are you?
Not bad. Thank you so much. How's your Wednesday night going?
It's going great. It's been a little hectic, but not bad at all. It's good to stay busy sometimes.
Yeah. Okay. So, we have 2 topics and one on the way. 6 and 9, gays and lesbians. And when somebody loves you back, you want to pick one or you want me to do it?
Let's go with the gays and lesbians.
Oh, you want to jump right off into it. Okay. All right. So let me just ask you a couple of quick questions, on that subject. Is it normal? Yes or no? Being gay or lesbian. Is it normal? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. Tell me, is heterosexual normal? Yes or no?
Yes.
Is heterosexual and lesbian and gays, is it, if they're both normal, are they the same? Trick question there.
It is a trick question, but I will say yes.
So being a gay or a lesbian or being a heterosexual is the same?
It is.
Okay, that was a trick question, and you tricked yourself right on into it. So I appreciate it. I wasn't expecting anything other than that. So now, with that being said, why don't you tell me how they are the same?
Well, there's nothing new under the sun, right? That's number one. And it's funny when I hear in society the argument about the Bible, and obviously I'm not going to argue people's beliefs, but from where I see it, it is in the Bible because it's not new. It's not new to the God that, created us. And it's not new to the men that wrote the Bible. And I believe in the Bible, and I believe in those men as well. So there's nothing new under the sun. It is one of the most natural instincts that people have that has to do with sexual development. And it is normal.
What is a natural instinct?
Sexual instinct. It's how we create and procreate.
Okay, no, I got you.
Yeah, it's how we... Yeah, so, I think that's where the taboo is, and that's where the pain and the confusion comes from, that we've made it such a taboo and we made it so abnormal that, it's creating a lot of pain in society. Everything that is hidden, everything that is a secret, turns into pain and repression and anger and unhealthy emotions, and it's very damaging. So I'm glad that it's a topic that you chose. It's not an easy one by any means, but it is natural,
Mm-hmm. Okay. Because people that are heterosexual, and let me say my prayers before I ask this question. When you look at a natural male and you look at a natural female, and those two are heterosexual, and then they come together in terms of procreating. The idea that two lesbians can't procreate or two gays can't procreate, what does that mean, in terms of you saying they are the same? Because if they have what would be considered a sexual encounter and they can't get the same results, how is it the same? I want to hear that from you.
Well, gays and lesbians can procreate. It may not come from that sexual encounter. A lot of heterosexual cannot procreate from a sexual encounter. They need assistance, and we have no problem finding a surrogate for a heterosexual couple.
Okay, hold on a second. I don't mean to cut you off,
but
but we're taking it out of context, and I want to stay on task here. When I mention a male and a female and a male and a female that are heterosexual and talking about them coming together, I'm not talking about, one or the other. When a man and a woman, or a male and a female, when they have a sexual counter, if they are healthy and if they are functioning, the way I think we I'm trying to stay away from the word normal. If they are functioning, in the grounds of procreation, and they, have a sexual encounter, they can procreate, they can reproduce. But
yes,
two gays and two lesbians, they can't. They can have the
absolutely
similar type of love. So when I hear you say they are the same, and you did say they were the same, and then when they have this, pardon?
They are the same.
Okay, I'm not taking away from it, but now I'm kind of getting into it a little bit. If they are the same, why is it that the heterosexual can do one thing that the gays and or the lesbians can't do? How are they the same if they can't do the same thing? And I'm not taking sides at all. I'm just kind of trying to understand your perception of why you said they are the same. Because if I wanted to go and see the six from the other side, maybe I could say, if I was to say anything, maybe they're not the same in that respects, because a heterosexual couple, male and female, can procreate, where as gays and lesbians together interacting, in a sexual in a sexual manner, they can't. That alone makes them different, but you said they were the same. So how do you explain them being the same with that being such a major difference?
It is a major difference, and I'm not going to define a relationship, especially a loving or even sexual relationship, by the fact of whether or not they can procreate or not.
Well, no. Hold on a second. Again, I don't mean to cut you off again, and thanks for being patient with me, but I'm trying to keep us on task. Well, I'm trying to stay on task anyway. You said they were the same, and there's something about that I'm bringing attention to how they're different, and I'm trying to understand how. Maybe I should have let you finish. I apologize. But while you're responding, keep in mind that either they are the same or they're different. And I think just, a heterosexual couple and a gay and or a lesbian couple, they're different. They really are. They are different. And when you say they are the same, maybe we should talk about how they're the same. But I'm trying to go down that path of the fact of the differences in them. But you flat out said, they are the same, but they can't do the same thing. Just kind of, expound a little bit more of how they are the same if they can't, produce the same results.
Well, I'm talking about, and I'm totally okay with putting on the record that woman and men cannot procreate by the sexual act. If we have to make that clear, then we can make that clear. Absolutely not.
There's only one way to procreate, as far as I know.
Absolutely right.
That's two opposite sex coming together and blending. That happens in all other species. For the far as I know, there's probably some other species that have, well, I don't know, but for the most part, a male or a female has to come together to procreate. That's why it's different. That's why you have a seed and then you have, the ground, one represents.
Listen, yeah, I got you. And again, we can get into the differences and I'm okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
But then if I'm going to use one aspect of that relationship to say that they're different, then and I know you're not going to like this, but then I'm going to have to say then use the same standard for a child that is born with Down syndrome is not the same as another child that doesn't have Down syndrome, right? When it comes to relationship and human beings, we are unique. We are different. Relationships, even within the heterosexual community, they are different. There's not one relationship the same. There are things that one relationship can do, heterosexual couple, and there are other things that other heterosexual couples cannot do and cannot accomplish. God created us different. Now, is sexual intercourse between a man and a woman the only way to procreate? Absolutely not. That's why God has created people that have been able to develop other ways to procreate. But what I am saying to you in the terms
what other
of
ways
whether
are
they
there
are
to procreate?
Well, there are many people and many couples that find a surrogate woman
But it still involves
carry
a
those.
seed of a man and the egg of a woman.
Oh, absolutely.
We're still talking about a male and a female. That's only one way to procreate. When you say there are other ways to procreate, and then you talked about surrogacy.
Right. You're not going to hear me argue that. You need the male and the female to procreate. Absolutely right. That is not going to be an argument that I'm going to have with you, because you're absolutely on point when it comes to that. Now, does that then negate the fact that two people of the same gender can have a profound love for each other?
No. We're not talking about love yet. No, hold on now. I'm trying to keep us. Let's count to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's breathe in.
Let's keep it to 3 for the sake of
Let's
time.
breathe out. That was a fast 10, which was equivalent to 3. So I get your point, and we only have maybe 5 more minutes, so we're going to close it out. I wasn't talking about two people loving each other. For the record, gays and lesbians that love each other, more power to everyone, anyone. If you find someone that you love, regardless of their, sexual orientation, if you love someone, you love them, period. That's why I'm not going to have anything negative to say, about gays and lesbians. If two women love each other, then okay, fine. If two men, they love each other, okay, that's their thing if they love each other. But we're talking about how heterosexual and gays and or lesbians are different, and I'm only responding because when I ask you the bold and out front question, are they the same, and you said yes, and then now I'm pointing out ways that they are definitely different, I don't hear you changing your story to say, okay, well, no, you're right, they are different.
I'll give you that. No, I'll give you that. If that's the only interference between us moving on in this topic, they're definitely different in the sense that a woman and a woman, or a woman's egg and another woman's egg cannot procreate.
You have to stop for me. When I asked you if they were the same, you said yes, and then after I showed you a way that they're different, now you're saying they're not the same. So here's my question all over again, and this may be a way to kind of land this plane. Is gay and lesbian and heterosexual the same, yes or no?
No.
Okay, so now you're clearly changing it. You first said yes, and now you're saying it's not.
Well, there's no way in hell I'm going to tell you that two women can procreate a child with two women's egg.
No,
Absolutely not. So, yeah.
No, hold on. Slow down. When I asked you the question, we hadn't talked about procreating. We're talking about two women together in a relationship, or, interacting, or just lesbians, two lesbians and two gays, and two heterosexuals that are male and female. I ask you if they were the same. Okay, you have a set of women, you have a set of men, and then you have a man and a woman. And I ask you if they were the same, and you said yes. Now you're saying they're not. And then we're going to close right now for the sake of time. We can pick up another time for sure. Are they the same, yes or no?
No, they're not the same.
Okay.
Based on procreation, they're absolutely not the same and
Well,
will
no,
never
no,
be
no,
the
no.
same.
Not just based
Well,
on.
no, yes, because we have to specify where they are not the
Slow
same.
down. Stop. We don't have to do anything. So what I'm
Okay,
asking
then
you
the
is,
answer is not. They're not the same. No, the answer is no, they're not the same.
okay. Well,
If you don't want to get into specifics, then we're not. And the answer is they are not the same.
we can get into specifics. We don't have to, and we will eventually get into some specifics. As you know, we discussed this, and I'm trying to keep it as open as I can. But I have to stay on task. When I ask you one question, and then you tell me what your answer is, and then I talk about how it's different, I kind of want to keep you. I kind of want to have you hold your guns if you're saying, they're the same. And now you're kind of switching. And with that being said,
I have to switch. I have to switch. I have no choice but to switch because we're talking about because you're making it into the natural reproduction, and that was just
one area that was one path that I turned down.
Exactly, but that is the one area that keeps this a taboo. That is the only area that can keep this a taboo within the religious community and within the secular community that doesn't believe in homosexuality or any other kind of relationship than a heterosexual relationship as being healthy. And that is the issue. And I know we don't have time to get into all the ramifications of what this taboo has done, not only to men, but
in the spirit
women
of
and
staying
children.
on task, we're not trying to get into all of them. We were just talking about whether they are the same or not, and then we were going to talk. There's so many ramifications, as you were saying, but we hadn't gotten into them. We're not trying to. We don't have the time. I don't even think the rest of our lives will be able to. I'm just trying to stay on one path, one task. I heard you say one thing and you're changing it, and it's okay. And it's okay to change. It's okay to walk around to see the six from the other side. So that's just, another example of how we're doing now. After I showed you, how what your answer was can be different, you now just walked over. It doesn't make you wrong or anything. It just, you're seeing it from a different way now. And for the sake of time, we could go on. And if you will come back on with me another time, I would love to go into it a different way. So with that being said, I'm going to go unless you want to have something in closing to say before we take off.
No, it's cool. It's just, it's a very heated topic. It's a very difficult topic to tackle from any end of the spectrum. I respect you for bringing that to the table, but it's definitely one of those things that, it's all where you're sitting at the table, what you're going to view and how you're going to view it. But there are many, many layers to this topic. So, I appreciate you having me on, and maybe we can pick up some other time.
Oh, definitely. We will. If you agree to it, we will definitely, because I've got so many other things that I want to share with you in particular, and anyone else that will jump in here with me. I appreciate it. Listen, you have a good night, and we will chat soon, okay?
Thank you. You too.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Good night. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, another edition of the Swimming Pool with yours truly, Travis Bridges. This is simply a live stream about talking. Oh, no, I can't do that. Okay, sorry about that, y'all. Okay, yeah. Technical issues there. We're talking about talking, and there's no right or wrong. There's no good or bad, and nobody's going to be doing or saying anything that we can at least walk around and see it from a different perspective, or apologize for, because we're just here to bring awareness to different ways people see things. So with that being said, if you'd like to chat with me in the future, I'd appreciate it. Travis Bridges 2 at AOL.com. That's Travis Bridges and the number 2. I'd love to chat with you. I'd love to talk about a subject and just dissect it. Again, there's no right or wrong. There's no good or bad. It's just, talk about talking. Until next week, you take real good care of yourself, and remember, find somebody that you need to say, I love you too. Don't just say it, but find a way to show it, okay? Call them on the phone. Buy them a cup of coffee. Give them some money or something like that, okay? Till the next time, take care and good night. Stop at nothing. If you're right, y'all. I'm gonna go. Have a good night.